Is someone moving chairs? Oh my, it's so scary.
What is that noise?
Ooh, it's the curse of the broken, scary office chair. Ooh.
Welcome to Drawing Conclusions. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Josh.
And today we're doing something a little different. We're actually going to be talking about the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland.
Yes, the ride. Ooh.
So we haven't really done a strict ride review before. We did a Disneyland review for another channel.
Yes.
But we've never done a review just about a ride. And I don't know, we just thought we'd try it out because Josh did this incredible picture inspired by the Haunted Mansion. And so...
And another show called The Lonesome Ghosts.
Yeah. So Josh, yes, why don't we start... Why don't we start actually talking about the picture and then we can talk about the ride. So it's like a kind of switching up our format a little bit. We usually talk about the picture at the end, but why don't you explain what this picture is?
I'm pretty stuck in my rut. I can't get out of that.
You can't move on. That's why you're in the Haunted Mansion as a ghost.
I am a ghost.
You can't move on. You're stuck in your
very
rut.
Pale.
Right? Isn't that how that works?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I fear the sun.
You're not a ghost. You're just a British descent. That's right.
And Irish and Scottish and Danish and Welsh. Northern Europe. That's me. Whitey. Anyhow. So this was for a D23 celebration.
Yeah, they have that D23 Expo convention thing every year. For super big Disney fans, right? And they talk about, they have all this, they have all these activities, they have all these celebrities, they have all these people from the parks come and talk. And they also talk about like the new rides and attractions and stuff that they're going to be doing. They make announcements, it's a big deal.
It is.
Yeah.
I've heard of it. Anyway, so I did this. They had this design challenge for the Haunted Mansion. It was the what anniversary?
50th. It's the 50th anniversary of the Haunted Mansion.
I know it was a high number. I couldn't remember which one.
Can you count that high?
I can. Do you want to hear me do that right
now?
No. All right then. Shut up, Smarty.
Take your word for it.
Thank you.
Wow, that was mean.
Oh, yeah, and you insulting my intelligence.
That's just normal.
That's true. Anyway. So yes, I did this for the design challenge, the D23 for the Haunted Mansion. So I always enjoyed that ride. I think it's very fun, visually very cool. Lately, actually, the last few times I'd been on it, it was during the holiday season, Christmas, and so it was all set up for Nightmare Before Christmas. I prefer the actual ride the way it normally is.
Yeah.
Not that the other stuff isn't cool, but I don't know. I like the traditional stuff. I think it's really cool and really fun. Yeah,
so in this picture, you did the Haunted Mansion, but then you added a different element to it that's not actually part of the ride.
Right, so I had like the Hatbox Ghost up in the sky and the moon, stuff like that. But then up in the foreground, I put in Mickey, Donald, and Goofy from an old cartoon. Like, what did we say? Find out.
1939.
1939, right. Yeah. It was called The Lonesome Ghosts. And it's a great cartoon, old one, obviously 1939. And it... these ghosts are in this house. They're bored. 1937, even older.
Yeah.
So they're bored, and they call up these guys. The
Ajax Exterminators.
Ajax Ghost Exterminators, whatever. So they could come and have a little fun with them, and the fun, just craziness ensues. And I always loved that cartoon as a kid, so I wanted to put that in there.
Yeah. Well, I always think it's fun at Disneyland to imagine like. Mickey and Goofy and Donald and going on these rides and being at the park like as real characters and being participatory in what's going on instead of just being guys in suits or whatever. I think it's fun to think about that.
Other fun fact about
imagination,
guys.
Not like I think that's real because I'm not that far gone yet. In my delusions.
Yet is the key word there. It's getting there. Anyhow, other fun thing about this picture. This is the first time I used the PanPastels.
Oh.
And I had a great time with those. I immediately loved using them. This is a mix between the PanPastel soft pastels and the Stabilo pastel pencils, which I also really like.
Yeah.
So they work pretty well together. Not perfectly, but good enough.
Yeah.
And so this really, really beautiful blends, and I had a lot of fun working on it.
Well, I really like the picture.
Thanks.
And so, like you said, the Haunted Mansion is turning 50 this year. It's actually in August. of 1969 that it opened, and the D23 is in August, so it's right around that 50th anniversary of when the ride opened at Disneyland in 1969. And it's in New Orleans Square. For those of you who've been to Disneyland, you know it. It's a very iconic part of the park. Yep. Obviously, it's actually right at the edge there of New Orleans Square as you're going into Critter Country.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite parts of the Disneyland park.
New Orleans Square.
That's so cool. I mean, you got the Haunted Mansion, you got Pirates of the Caribbean, the shops and restaurants that are just up from there, and just like the view out to the lagoon.
Right.
Or lake or
well,
whatever.
and
It's really awesome.
When you go back behind, like in the shops and everything, they have that cool like staircase, and it's just like so pretty back there, and they have the mint julep bar and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and
get the beignets.
Get some beignets. It's a really fun part of the park.
Mm-hmm.
And the Haunted Mansion, this is weird to think about, but I probably was. The ride itself was not that old when I probably first went on it, because I lived in Southern California when I was a little girl, and my family went to Disneyland
often,
at least once a year, really, from the time that I was little. And
Lucky.
So probably the ride was only maybe 8 or 9 or 10 years old the first time that I went on that ride.
Wow, you're old.
I know. I'm so ancient. That's why I'm like delusional. Anyway, so
you're probably just crazy.
I have a love-hate relationship with this ride personally.
Do you get scared on this ride?
But well, I don't know, Josh, do I?
You do. Do I?
So I do get scared on this ride. So anybody who knows me more than a little bit knows that I get scared super easily.
Yes. Would the Simpsons Halloween specials scare you?
Not all of them.
All of them.
Just like The Shining. I don't like that.
What?
Because it reminds me of The Shining, and it's scary. The Shining is
all right.
terrifying.
Enough of that.
Anyway, but I do get scared quite easily. But I felt a little more justified today when I was reading about the history of the Haunted Mansion, that the two main guys that worked on designing it, one of them wanted it to be really scary, and the other one wanted it to be kind of silly. And what this was saying was like, and they kind of went with both. And I agree with that. That's why I have this love-hate relationship with this ride. There's so much humor in the ride.
There's some funny stuff out there.
There's humor when you're going into the ride, right? Like they have the gravestones out front, and they say funny things.
Yeah.
Right? You come into that first chamber.
The elevator. Yeah.
Right, with the elevator.
The stretching room.
And they say...
stretching room. It's not an elevator.
Yeah, the stretching room. And and it's got, they say, like, cheesy things like, come into the dead center of the room, you know?
And you're like, ho, ho, ho.
And so that's fun, right? Like, there's this, like, a kitschy, funny, cornball kind of element to it, silly, fun ghost element to it that I really love. And that I've loved since I was a kid. I love the stretching room. Yes. My cell phone case is one of the paintings from the stretching room, right?
Yeah, I remember the first time I went on that, I was like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I was older than you when you first went on. I was well into my teen years, and I was like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
This is so neat. I'm like, how do they make it feel like it just feels like it's just stretching? And, obviously that's not exactly true, but
right.
It's just really clever and
the
really
illusion
fun.
Works really well.
Oh, it really does.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah. And I love, like, even the way that the cast members, well, when you get really good cast members who are really into it, and they talk, like, in the really, like, old school, like, 1950s horror movie kind of
horror movie host guy.
Yeah, and
tonight's
and the building itself is beautiful.
Yeah,
right?
it is. It is. The mansion itself is really cool. Yeah. Very pretty.
And I love the when you're going down that first hallway after you come out of the stretching room, the pictures that are changing, they're like holograms or whatever, but not holograms, but you know what I'm saying.
Well,
holographic pictures, they change.
Yeah.
And the busts where the faces
statues,
change,
they look at you, they follow you. Yeah, that's really neat too. I mean, the way they did that, if you can get a really good close look at it, you see how they do these statues that are actually like concave, instead of a rounded statue. And again, there's so many clever, just like practical effects all throughout the ride. It's so awesome.
Yeah, and then like the doom buggies and stuff. So Josh, tell me, you just talked about your first impression of the stretching room, but tell me more about your you haven't been to Disneyland nearly as many times as I have.
No.
And you were much older when you first went to Disneyland. Like, I literally cannot remember the first time I went on this ride, but you can.
Yeah.
So tell me, like, your first impressions of going on this ride.
Well, I certainly wasn't scared.
Yeah, but you watch aliens and stuff like that.
All right.
Give it to me.
That's true. Like the stretching room, the rest
Plus,
of it.
you see me without makeup in the morning.
Well, that's spine tingling. The horror. Anyway, but yeah, it's like I said before, the practical effects that they use all throughout the ride. I mean, the artistry, the care that they put into creating this ride and the way it looks. That was something that blew me away because someone who loves art, and I loved art way back when, and yeah, I thought it's just like, this is such a fantastic ride. I mean, it was funny, it was cool. There was stuff that like the monsters and the skulls and the graveyard and the cemetery was really awesome. I mean, everything's very ornate.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff they did, like when you go through like the ballroom area, I was like, whoa, how are they doing this? I mean, I know it's a practical effect, but still, it is pretty mind-boggling. And like the busts that look at you and follow you as you move past, I mean, those are really cool. I mean, they're so inventive. I mean, that was the thing that I took. I mean, I was like 15, 16 when I went on that ride the first time, somewhere in there.
I thought you were 14, but yeah.
It was 14, 15, 16. I don't remember exactly how old I was. It was right around then. But that was for me, that was a really cool experience.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Well, and I think it's, what you're saying is like all the detail and how ornate it is.
Yeah.
It's just, this is one of the things that Disney just excels at right at their parks. Is
oh, for sure.
Creating a ride that's like the entire thing is part of the experience. The queue is part of the experience. Mm-hmm. Every detail is well thought out. And the Haunted Mansion is one of the rides that's like quintessentially like that.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's everything is just really well thought out, really well designed. Right. And
like from the
fits
mansion
in with
itself,
the whole vibe and tone of the mansion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because like the mansion itself is just a spectacle just by itself.
Right.
It's so ornate, it's so gorgeous, and it just looks awesome. Unfortunately, I didn't get to ride that ride at night. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I rode it during the day.
Doesn't really make a difference. You go inside. Doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, but you come out and it's dark again. You're just like, ooh.
Oh yeah, that's scary.
But I think that, that would be kind of fun, just to do it. I never got to do that.
Well, maybe we'll have a chance here before too long. I don't know. And the other thing I like about Haunted Mansion is that although they have updated it since I was a kid,
right,
and there are a few things that are different, it doesn't feel different than it did when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's not like Pirates of the Caribbean.
It's essentially still the same experience. It's the same soundtrack. You're still listening to Grim Grinning Ghosts.
Yeah.
And you have the barbershop quartet guys,
Oh, yeah, right.
Singing away in the graveyard. I mean, all of that stuff just is there. They have updated a few things. The Hatbox Ghost was part of the ride originally in 1969, but at that time, the effect that they wanted of his head disappearing from the top of his body into the hat box, it just didn't work that well. They didn't have the same technology, obviously, in 1969 that we have now. Right. And it just didn't look that good. Like, it wasn't very convincing. And so they got rid of it. And then they brought the Hatbox Ghost back in 2015. But even the way that they designed that with this more updated, modern look, obviously, and techniques, the technology behind it, it still fits into the overall look and aesthetic of the ride. And it doesn't feel like, oh, this is out of place. Look at this weird new thing they put in there,
it just works.
Yeah, it works really well. And so, part of going to Disneyland for me is the nostalgia factor. And I like that they do new things. I like that they update and upgrade and that there's something fresh about it. But pretty much every time you go. But I also appreciate that there are places and attractions like this at the park where you can still feel like
it's virtually
the Disneyland,
timeless.
From 50 years ago.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, like I do remember going on, like you and I went to, when the first time we went to the park together, like Pirates of the Caribbean was the way it used to be.
Right.
And then it was before the movies, and now it's like, oh, look, there's Johnny Depp. It's like, it's not terrible. Yeah, they changed the music in parts, and they changed some of the animatronics, and it's like, yeah, okay, I get that. And it's just like, it's still a cool ride, but it's not as cool. I am glad that for the most part, Haunted Mansion is relatively untouched.
Yeah.
And I like that. I mean, the Christmas time stuff notwithstanding, because that's very different. But I mean, like the ride, the way it normally exists, is very untouched. And I think that's cool.
Well, and it is kind of nice that what they were able to do to make the Haunted Mansion fresh is put this new overlay on it with the Nightmare Before Christmas that's there for like 4 months of the year. So really it's like a quarter of the year it's Nightmare Before Christmas because it's like kind of mid-September to the beginning of January. Yeah.
Okay, so they do it to like Halloween through Christmas.
Yeah, because they start doing their Halloween stuff in September actually.
Oh.
And so it runs, they do Halloween and Christmas, it runs that whole time. It makes the ride less scary. Like, I feel like our kids would not be scared if they went on the Nightmare Before Christmas ride, where they might be a little scared if they went on the Haunted Mansion. It's certainly less scary for me to go on Nightmare Before Christmas.
Right.
But I'm glad that I can go to the park at different times of the year and have two different experiences, but that it doesn't, it's not like they turned it permanently into Nightmare Before Christmas. I appreciate that they have still held on to this original Haunted Mansion because it's really well loved. I mean, people do love it, but people love the Nightmare Before Christmas thing. Yeah. And then it makes it kind of special if you go during that time of year. It's actually a very clever marketing ploy, Disney, to just take more money from me. Here, just take it. Take it all, Disney. Take all my money. Take it. Take it. Anyway, so although this ride doesn't have it's not a thrill ride.
No, there's no I go down this big hill. Oh, there's a loop. Oh, boy.
Right.
None of that.
It's just such a fun ride. Yeah. It's super popular. People love it. We love it. Yes. Right? It's one of the mainstays, staples of Disneyland. Definitely one of the things that you have to visit, you have to go on when you ride there. Have to check out the Doom buggies, right?
Right, yeah. Get on the conveyor, step in, be careful.
And that's one of the great things too about Haunted Mansion is even when the line seems super long, it moves pretty fast because it's a very high capacity, easy loading ride. Yeah. They take big, huge groups of people in at a time, and then you can load onto those Doom buggies pretty fast.
How many of those things seat? 2 or 3?
Well, it depends on your size.
That's true.
2 to 3 in the Doom buggies.
2 adults,
but it's that constantly moving. It's like
the conveyor.
The Doom buggies don't stop unless they're letting on somebody that needs wheelchair access.
Oh, right.
That's why
special needs stuff.
Sometimes you're like, what? The Doom buggies, and you think the ride's broken, but really it's just they're letting on people off and on that are that need assistance, getting on and off the ride.
Yeah.
But that's another really smart thing that Disney did with not just this ride, but several other rides, and some of their newer rides, even like Little Mermaid, right?
Yeah,
where they have this continuously loading ride system.
Get into the clamshells. Yes, this ride is more fun than that one.
I love the Little Mermaid ride. Now I'm gonna make you review that next.
Yeah, but come on, Haunted Mansion, Little Mermaid.
No, I mean, there's no comparison.
No.
Anyway, and even though I have a love-hate relationship with this ride, it's mostly love. And I do love this picture. And I think it's so beautiful, and it captures kind of this, the terror of the ride along with the silliness of the ride. I think it's a really great homage to the vibe of the ride itself. And then how beautiful it is, the mansion itself and the New Orleans, and I like how you put the fireflies.
Yeah.
And the bushes and stuff. That's cool.
That is something that I loved about the South was fireflies.
Yeah. I miss fireflies from my childhood.
Yep.
Too. Anyway. All right. So, is that it?
Yeah.
That's it.
I know. There's our ride review. If you're at Disneyland, definitely check out Haunted Mansion.
Yep.
No matter what time of year it is. You will enjoy it.
And if you want to hear our full Disneyland review, you can check that out on Auntie Tay. That's the channel where we have our Disneyland review. And we actually have a few other Disney movie reviews on her channel that you can check out that we did. And with this video, what should they do, Josh?
Well, subscribe, definitely, if you haven't done that already. Like this video. We always love that. Share with your friends and comment. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah,
any ride experiences you have, if you like this ride, hate this ride, you're a monster. But just kidding. Yeah, share with us what you think. Always love that. Also, check us out on Patreon. Support there really does support this channel with art supplies and things like that.
Thanks.